Who's going first?
That's a good question.
I'll go first.
All right. Yes.
Yes.
I'm nervous.
I will jump off the bridge first. Who's coming after me?
We all coming for you.
We got you.
So I just read it?
Yeah.
Okay. You're hosting a dinner party and can invite any 3 people, past or present. Who's at your table?
Ooh, shit.
Should I go first or?
I'll go 90s Brandy. Let's be specific.
Okay.
Specific.
Moesha
90s
Brandy.
Yes.
Moesha
Banji Brand. Okay.
Prince.
Yes.
Okay.
And my grandma who passed away.
I got some.
Okay.
James Baldwin.
Okay. Yes.
Jimmy.
Like, I just want to talk to him about the current state of society, because he called it.
Okay.
Audre Lorde,
Ooh.
Yes.
because I need some guidance. And then I'd have to see 90s R&B too. I would have to say Mariah Carey Vision of Love.
Mariah Carey.
When she was super confident and just giving us everything. I would love to talk to her about what life was like back then. Pre debauchery. So.
Okay. I would invite Essex Hemphill, just because the way he loved black people and black queer people specifically still speaks with me now. And I would just love to have a conversation with him. Would also invite Langston Hughes, the very first person that showed me that I could write. And then I would invite, and I pray I don't mess his name up, Toussaint Louverture from the Haitian Revolution, because I want to fuck some shit up, and he fucked a lot of shit up.
All right, I would invite my grandpa, who I never met, but people told me I looked like. Heard he was really dope. Amy Winehouse.
Yes.
And post-presidency Barack Obama, because I think you'd get the tea.
Yes. Oh. Didn't even think about that.
So my 3 people, the first one would absolutely be Jesus.
Praise.
Okay.
That's the question. Yeah.
My father's been in prison since I was 6. He gets out in a couple of years.
Yes.
And I just want to know his history, because I don't really know him on a cellular level. And Cheryl Strait, because right now she's my favorite writer. She's written Wilds and Tiny Beautiful Things, for those of you who are not familiar with her. So those are my 3 people.
Yes. Okay, so my 3 people are Maya Angelou and Jay-Z.
Yes.
And I'm struggling with this third one. Probably Martin Luther King.
Okay. That's real.
That's a nice little get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key right there. That's the key.
Yeah.
So it says, what is dating like for you in the modern day?
There we go.
Read this card.
I did.
I knew this was going to come.
Oh my God.
I knew it.
Who's going first?
Who's starting it?
Well, I can talk shit. Dating for me right now, it's weird, but I'm still hopeful. Yeah.
I don't know what dating is. I'm gonna be real. I knew
So
it was
real.
gonna come up,
That's so real.
you know, I bartend in the evenings, and I'm like, this is the topic I always talk about. Like, what is it? I don't know what it is, because you know, in my world, I feel like you can say, oh, let's hang out. But I never know when's a good time to be like, wait, is this a date? Is this
Or is it-
romantic?
right.
Is this sexual? Or are we just hanging out?
Are you on any apps by any chance? Because it's sort of implied what it is that you're looking for.
I'm on one, but I've never used it. Like, I've never actually gone through with anything. Like, I hide behind it, and I'm just like, you cute, but then I don't message. Like, I would rather meet someone in person, because I'm very, like, I need to feel the energy, you know what I mean? So
Well, I'm on these apps,
Same girl.
please teach
and
me.
I mean, like all of you, I assume I would like to have all the things. And I'm a Cancer, and I'm emotional as fuck,
Yeah.
and I crave attention and affection, and sometimes like I definitely allow myself to settle for just that sexual interaction versus like, oh, I want to go on a date and I want to see where this could go, because you just never know if you're gonna get that again, especially being a black trans woman in New York City. Niggas ain't trying to take you on no date nowhere, like, and if they do, it's like, oh, let's go at midnight to this bar where I know the bartender, and who wants that, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's interesting because for me, at the end of last year, I sort of decided that I'm a fuckboy. Like when Darby was mentioning his dating life, I'm like, Steven, you're a fuckboy, you're a fuckboy. And I bring that up to say, you know, I struggle with physical intimacy and emotional intimacy. I don't know what's at the root of that. It's something that I'm working through now. But I wonder, do y'all ever try to figure out like what's at the genesis of people's intimacy with you all, like their relationship with their intimacy in dating you all?
I can speak for myself. I know coming from, so my first experience being in love came with abuse, psychological, emotional, and sexual. So I know I struggled with intimacy for a long time, and then I started digging more and realized I struggled with intimacy with men because my first abandonment problem came from my father. So
But you're also working through it in parallel to also dating.
Yeah.
As an old guy.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard because like I'm at a space now where I can date because I like to be upfront with guys when I'm talking to them, when we're dating, that hey, these are the things that I'm working on. Now, if you don't want to go along with me, that's fine. I respect that. But I would rather you know now before we get into a relationship, and then you're like, why didn't you tell me?
Thank
so I guess
you.
I'll get the next card.
Change it up. Change it up, please.
When have you felt your truest self?
Oh, right now.
Yes!
Right the hell now. I mean, it goes back to dating and all this stuff. I just have always, and especially in my career, I have always been the Dina Jones to a lot of people. And
No, really, who is
Oh.
that?
from Dreamgirls,
Oh, okay.
the musical.
Who played her?
Beyonce.
Originally Shirley Ralph.
Oh, you got it.
Which version are we
Yeah.
talking about?
That's a good question, though.
I mean, I've always let people mold me, and I've allowed it to be whatever they wanted me to be, just to make them happy. But now I'm so beyond other people's happiness. Like, I want happiness for everyone else, but I want happiness for myself first.
Okay, so I'm actually at a place right now in my life where everything is up in the air. Like nothing is set in stone, and weirdly enough, I think I feel the most truly myself now. I think I've spent so much of my life, you know, living my life for other people, trying to, you know, please other people. You talked about having daddy issues. I have mommy issues that I have to work through, right? So like living my life for my parents, or like for what I'm Mexican, like what it's like to be like, you're supposed to go get the American dream. This is what that's supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to look like. And so strangely enough, right now, I'm at a place in my life where I'm like, okay, like I sort of check the boxes. Like, what's Eddie gonna do next? What are my personal goals? You know what I mean? So like I think about like, I haven't gone on a bike since I was like 8. But I've already signed up for a cycle for the I'm gonna be biking from Boston to New York in September.
Okay, all right now.
300 miles, like, and I'm raising money for HIV and AIDS prevention. So I'm like, you know what? That's gonna make my person happy, like my heart. So that's where I'm at.
The question was, when have you felt your truest self? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I felt my truest self growing up as a child.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I've always been what you're looking at right now. I don't even know what you're looking at right now. I've always been a woman, right? And so I felt my truest self then as a woman because I never told anyone. It was never up for debate. It was never a question. And even when I walked into the room presenting male, I was afforded the privilege to be accepted as female. And so now walking into spaces and having to explain myself as a woman, having to deal with people's point of view of me as a woman, and that really hurts me. It really hurts my true self.
This question really hits me because I don't think I've ever known a version of myself that's been at its truest. Because I feel inauthentic all the time. And I'm gonna just be real with y'all. I've been nursing a decade-long depression. I've had body dysmorphia since I was 16, so I'm consistently on antidepressants and anxiety meds. So I may be suppressing who I really am when I'm on medication 24 hours of the day. So I don't know yet. But I will soon. Hopefully, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the question itself is really interesting, right? Like, your truest self. It's like, what does that really mean to feel like? Does that mean your best self? For me, it means like, when do you feel like you're in alignment? So for me, it means like, am I on the regular doing everything I can to meet my goals? For myself, to become a better person, to learn more about what are the things that bring me joy, what do I want to do with my life, how do I want to spend my time. I feel like every day it's a battle to figure out, well, what does that look like today? Does that mean I am singing in the shower and I am singing my 90s R&B on the subway platform and I don't give a fuck? Does it mean that I'm working at a place or an institution that values who I am as, queer, trans person, like, and then when I bartend, it's like, I wear a fucking binder for 12 hours, 8 hours, and I'm like, I want to let these babies just hang out. And then I'm also like, I want to get rid of them. So like, what does being your true self mean? And I think for me, it means constantly figuring out who I am in this moment, but also who I'm becoming and what I want to prioritize.
When I think of truth, I think of truth and how truth is not always comfortable. And so I think of, for me, is when I'm at my most vulnerable, which means I'm at my most open. I think now when I'm acting, because it's funny, people think when you're on the stage you're putting on, and for me it's a removal.
Yes.
I am bringing everything to that stage and to that character. Because for them to be true, I must be true.
Yep.
So that's when I feel my most truest self. And when I'm acting, when I'm dancing, like that's why voguing for me is sacred. Because that is when my body is in its truest form, masculine, feminine, everything in between. That is when my body feels that it is at its highest point of being everything.
Yep.
And I think what makes it hard is that I'm afraid to be true and then people deny me and who I am.
It's weird because every time I see you, I think to myself, like, damn, that is how freedom, like, that is what it means to be free.
Yeah.
Because you legitimately don't care.
All right, question. What is the future of gender?
Child.
Girl!
This is a part 2 question.
Can I go first?
Yes,
Wait.
And the second part is, what is the future of queerness?
What I learned in my household growing up was a little bit different than what I found other people learn, but all in all, we had the same consensus, like either you're male or female.
Right.
And now I feel like, okay, I'm gonna just be brutally honest. I feel as though there is a lot of misrepresentation in what it means to be a woman, first and foremost, and then to be trans.
I think the future of gender is actually what was in the past. So just follow me for a second.
Yes.
So like,
Yes.
I've been doing a lot of internal work, and the work that I've been doing currently is about like, indigenous cultures had celebrated we call them two-spirit, multi-spirit. They were the priestesses and the healers of their communities. And we're talking about pre-colonization.
Yes.
And then colonization happens, and then all of a sudden, specifically in Filipino culture, didn't matter, male, female, everyone was wearing, a skirt, what we would call a skirt these days, everyone had long hair. Colonization hits in our communities, and then gender and gender roles start the separation, right? All of a sudden you're covering up breasts, you're cutting hair, and then what male and female is supposed to look like starts getting created or defined. So for me, I feel like the future of gender, I don't believe in a genderless society, but I believe in the opportunity for folks to be in alignment with what they feel. And like, if right now the language is only masculine, feminine, male, female, then yes, we need to expand that.
I get that that's the progressive thought that we're thinking, but I wonder, are we gonna get there?
I think that I will not see it. And I'm trying to make myself okay with that, because I think the way Malcolm, the way Martin, the way the Black Panthers, the way that they fought for these changes, they knew they weren't going to see them.
Like, I'm gonna just dumb it down and make it super simple, because this shit, I hate talking about this. Just respect whoever this person identifies as and however they show up in the world, and then go about your damn business. If that doesn't please you or attract you, then move it right along.
Only thing I want to say about it is that it becomes problematic when somebody's beliefs about who you are threatens your life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, but
And like interacting on a one-on-one basis, but also like policy-driven stuff. Like it's rampant everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we still have to live under these conditions.
Right.
So then it's part of the structure that we all have to navigate. Oh no.
Do you date interracially?
Well,
What have your experiences been when dating outside of your race?
That's a good question for me. No. Moving on.
oh shit, that hurt my heart.
Would you date interracial?
No.
Why not?
Because for me, I have no desire to. And also there are certain things that like I know is gonna be tough with another nigga first.
Oh.
I don't want to deal with your anti-blackness if you're not black. I don't want to deal with your other shit you gotta unlearn, because I gotta deal with it on my day-to-day. I've thought about dating sometimes interracially, but it doesn't also for me doesn't include a white man.
Not that I don't see color, I love melanin. Let's not get it twisted.
Right.
I love it. It excites me.
I'm open to it. I don't not see color, but I just want to experience like true love, and if that comes in another race, then who am I to be like, hell no, so that's just me.
I would.
My tea is that I do date interracially. I will say that I have had problematic dating experiences with white men, because as a light-skinned Mexican guy, it affords white men the ability to do two things. They can fetishize me the way that they would fetishize a Latino person, and with the same with the same language and the same whatever, but then I look enough like the other to then still be like, I normally don't date Mexicans, but you look enough like me to bring home, or and shit like that.
I would date interracial. I identify as Afro-Latino, but I often wonder what allowances and permission am I giving whiteness and white folks if I do date them? Is that something that you ever struggle with?
Well, I stopped dating white men years ago because I just decided that
I did too.
that's not the thing. You know what I mean?
I am open to dating other races and ethnicities, but I don't date white folks. I actively choose not to date white folks, but I think if I break that down even further, I don't date people who are unwilling to check themselves in terms of the internalized racism that they have.
I think, have we all pulled up?
Have we all put a card?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, big money, big money. Oh, okay.
Oh, she feel big money.
How does language like safe sex, clean, and raw contribute to how we view and navigate sex?
It's
I'm
toxic.
just gonna put that right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have such a problem with people saying like, "Are you clean? Are you whatever?" Because this kind of language doesn't help end the stigma for people who are HIV positive or who have AIDS, and a lot of this is just rooted in like that same kind of shame. You know what I mean? And I think it continues to like perpetuate these old cycles that we're used to like hearing or that we were brought into, and I mean that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like the future of like gender and queerness and sexuality, and words like saying, you know, are you clean, or are you like, versus what? Like
Right.
that just continues to perpetuate these same kind of cycles that we're in. So I don't fuck with them too much.
Being sexual doesn't always equate penetration
It should.
for everyone,
Right.
right? So like we
Right.
had mentioned mutual masturbation, or like you know, there's touch. There's so many other ways that we can be sexual with people.
Yes.
And I think when we use terms like this, it's already othering. Like it's already an assumption that
Penetration.
there's dirty and you know that things are unsafe. But how do we then talk about, like you said, like when we prep or when we're engaging with someone that we want to have sex with, what kind of language then do we use? And is it just like the practical stuff, like when did you get tested? When was the last time? We are using condoms today. Like,
Are you on
do you
prep?
know?
Right.
Yeah. So like, how do you navigate? And does it prevent you from engaging with someone if these conversations are tedious, or do you only engage with someone if they're willing to have these conversations? I want us to just have conversations about safety looks like this to me. What I need to feel safe with you if this is what we're engaging in is this. So these conversations, I'm like, how are people learning that? And how, the question, like, how do we actually navigate that? You know, and everyone has such a different opinion. So then what does safety look like?